guys, Brittany here from My Core Floor, and I am super excited that my friend Sheena decided to join us today. I asked Sheena if she would hop on because I have worked with Sheena before. She's done the My Core Floor exercises. She has been where many of you are sitting right now. And it's one thing to hear from me that this program works, these exercises work, that the education we're going to provide you is worthwhile and something you should invest in. But it's another thing to come from someone who's actually gone through the program, who's done the work, and where she is where she is now compared to where she is when she started with me. So what I'd like to do is let Sheena tell you a little bit about her story. So how her and I ended up working together. Let her tell you a little bit about her experience with the exercise. And then what I'm hoping she'll do is let you know where she is now compared to where she was when we first got started. So Sheena, welcome. So give us the scoop. When you and I met, kind of what was your pre-story to that?
I was a half marathon, once life gets back to normal, I hope to run my first half marathon post babies. But I was running half marathons before I got pregnant. And then at like 12 weeks pregnant, I was still running. And I'm like, something just doesn't feel right. And because of other health concerns, I stopped around 19 weeks pregnant from running. And just didn't feel right. And I delivered my daughter. And I remember one of the women who's a dear friend of mine, we had our babies very close together. And I remember asking her, is it normal when you turn the faucet on, and this was after having my daughter, that like you cannot control yourself? And she was like, the first day, and this is me like a month postpartum. I'm like, this is embarrassing. Like I can't control myself. And I went to my office visit for 5-week postpartum check, which is just a bunch of bananas. And the nurse asked, like, do you have incontinence issues? And I was like, yeah. And she said, oh, just do some Kegels and you'll be fine. I'm like, yeah, I'm doing them and I'm nothing. And my doctor did the internal, he was like, oh yeah, you have a weakness of your vaginal vault. And like I couldn't even walk. It hurt. Like I would try to go for walks on the stroller. Hi, bud. And so I remember like walking with my daughter, not even running, and like I felt like just like this heavy pulling sensation. I'm like, something's wrong. Like I feel like my insides are falling out. My doctor just dismissed me, and he was just basically like, hey, do some Kegels, you'll be fine. It's just that's just what happens after you have kids. And I'm like, what? I ran half marathons and now I can't even walk without it hurting. How is this possible? And then a patient of yours, who's a friend of mine, had told me that there's this magical person who makes vaginas all better. And at that point, I was, 8 or 9 months postpartum. I'm like, I want to be able to run. I wanted to exercise, but I just wasn't at that point because it hurt so bad. And then I think within 4 weeks, after having my first visit with you, I had started running.
Yeah.
And it just got better from there. And then I got pregnant again.
So your kids are close together too, right?
2 and 2 years. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So basically once I was like fully up and running and wanted to do my first long distance race, I found out I was expecting, and I was like, probably not the best time to run 10 miles. So
and we did work together during your pregnancy too, didn't we? During your second pregnancy? That's what I thought. Yeah. So we could keep you on track.
Yeah, I kept going back throughout, like, kind of, I don't know if you would explain it like as maintenance or what, but that definitely, like, the sensation that I had with my first, I did not have with my second, because of continuing the exercises with you and seeing you and being stretched out. I remember like hours going to see you to be stretched out in the cage, because I was just so like, you're ginormous when you're pregnant and so like uncomfortable, and it just felt like amazing to do all the stretches with you. And then I had my son, and I was running with a double stroller with both kids pushing them at like, I don't know, 2 or 3 months postpartum. Whereas like with my first child, I couldn't even walk with her.
Yeah, made a huge difference. I have a couple of women right now actually in the membership who are in their 3rd trimester, and both with their 2nd children, I believe. And they both
Okay.
say the same thing. Like they feel so much better doing the exercises and the stretches like during their pregnancy. They feel better than they did previous pregnancies, even though that baby is sitting on their bladder. I think they're like 31 and 26 weeks or something, each of them. And they were like, they feel better this pregnancy just doing the stretches and the exercises and turning on their pelvic floor than they did even postpartum and during their first, for sure.
Absolutely. It makes a world of a difference.
So when you started, you had incontinence, prolapse, and discomfort. So now at this point, you're back running. Like, are you jumping? Are you leaking at all with like coughing, laughing, sneezing, or working out, or any sort of exercise activity?
I like smiling ear to ear. I can jump on the trampoline with my daughter. I'm not peeing myself. I can run. I can sneeze without my legs crossed and not have to worry like, oh shit, am I close enough to being at home because I need to change my sweatpants because I just peed myself.
Yeah.
So, I mean, even like when we had very first started after having my daughter, so again, almost close to a year postpartum, and like I, you know, with under your, you know, professional expertise, like we slowly worked into me running, and I was very cautious, and I could still feel like that prolapse that had, but I don't feel it like at all. Like I know. Yeah, I don't feel it. As long as I do the exercises as I should, I can do jumping jacks. You know, I did Transform 20 with Sean T, which is a ridiculous high impact workout, and I didn't have to modify because I kept up with exercises.
So at this point, what do you do to kind of maintain? Obviously, I know you're working out, but do you still do some of the stretches and the things that we have done and that you've learned?
Oh, yes, religiously. At one point, I was like, all right, I think I'm pretty good. Like, and then I started to notice just a twinge of like heaviness, and I was like, nope, I've got to get back to it. Like, this is something that, and it doesn't take that long. Right. Because when the workouts that I do and the time that they do the warm-ups, I do my own warm-up, which is
that's
yours.
A great idea. Yeah.
And that's it. And that takes care of it. And I don't have to worry about, right, you know, if I'm gonna have pain or if I'm gonna pee myself, whatever, I don't have to worry about it.
It's so funny you said that, because when I do the workouts, I do the same thing. When they're doing their warm up, I do like my hip flexor stretches and like some of the pelvic floor stuff to like wake up my pelvis and pelvic floor, because I know that it's good to do. And not all the workout programs usually address those types of motions. So
no, and I love the workouts that I do, but it still amazes me that there aren't workout programs that are geared towards women's health.
Right. Yeah. Which is what I'm trying to do with my core floor, absolutely. But you're right. Like, you think that there would be more of them out there, or at least that there'd be things layered in to kind of address pelvic floor. But there really isn't. So I'm the same way. I love to do my other workouts, but I just do the same thing. I do my little warm up. I do my pelvic floor warm up while they do their thing. And you know, women are always asking me, how can I fit these pelvic exercises in? Like, I like to run. I like to do beach body. So, you know, that's a perfect way to do it, actually. While they're doing their warm-up, you just do your thing, and you can kind of work it right into your regular day. Because you're busy. You're a teacher. Going back in the fall, hopefully. We'll see.
However that will look, yes.
Exactly. And you have 2 kids who are, how old are your kids now?
They are 1 and 3.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's my other thing, is I like to tell Bill, even if you're busy, like, you're a busy mom, like, you can make time to fit it in.
It literally takes, I mean, it depends on, you know, what it is specifically you're doing, but if it's a priority to you, like for me, it was not being able to run or walk or exercise was just, it was a loss of the part of who I was outside of a mom. And so it was just, it was integral to, you know, when you first become a mom, it's all about the baby and whatnot. And then I wanted a part of me back. And part of that was not peeing myself.
Right,
and like you gave that back to me, because I honestly thought the rest of my life, I was like, based on what my doctor had told me, like, this is a medical professional who's gone to school and residency and everything. And you would think that their knowledge is in the, like, is it physiology and like kinesiology, right?
Yeah.
Is that, yeah, you would think that like they look at vaginas their whole, that's their job.
Exactly.
That they would know.
And
and they don't. And so he was just like, that's just going to be kind of like how it is. Or you can get surgery where you see like all these things where they talk about like the mesh surgery and how those have gone like horrifically wrong. And I'm like, there has to be something else out there. And it's 5 minutes a day, or, I mean, it was more at first.
Right, in the beginning.
Of where I was. But once you get to that point of the maintenance phase, it's, you know.
Right, 5 minutes, right. Right before your workout, get it done, and then you're able to keep it there.
Yeah, and if you're feeling sore, there's a little bit more, but.
Right. And that's what I tell people, like, you have to put in a little bit more time depending on where you're starting and how long it's been going on for, which is always why I tell people the sooner you start, if the symptoms are mild, the quicker you're going to see results. I mean, luckily for you, we got started pretty quickly. I mean, again, it was a year.
Didn't feel like it.
But sometimes I see women who have dealt with it for like 7 years or 8 years, you know, like a really long time. And so I always tell people, I had somebody actually message me to ask me a question about the program. And she's like, well, my symptoms are kind of mild at this point. And I'm like, perfect. Then this is when you like, you know, do it before it gets really bad, because it doesn't take long for it to sometimes progress and worsen over time. For sure. Yeah. So, well, I don't want to take any more of your time, but again, it's always one thing for me to tell people like this program works, but it's another thing to hear it from somebody who's actually done the work and put in the time.
Nope. Mama, 2 babies in 2 years. And like, sometimes I remember vividly, we live like, there's a hill up to our house for like this loop that I do for a run. And I was walking Annabelle, and, you know, I was like nursing, and it was just, I was just like new mom emotions, like feeling like a cow, whatever. And then there's this mom in this freaking Live Strong double stroller running with the 2 kids. And I was like, fuck that. How is that possible? I can't even walk up the hill without wetting my pants. But you know what? Now, 2 years later, I'm that person. And there was this mom that I walked by one day, and I looked at her and I was like, it'll get better, because I'm just hauling up, running with both of the kids. And I was like, it does get better, but.
Yeah, but you've been there.
Yeah.
Been there. Girl, thank you so much for your time. I'm super, who you got there? Hi, Annabelle.
You say
How
hi.
are you? Oh, look at that face.
They're gonna be here.
Okay.
Thanks for letting me talk to mommy today.
She was asleep in the car. She told me she wasn't tired.
Oh, I hate that when you're not tired and then you fall asleep. Yeah. All right, I'm going to quit our recording, but thanks, girl, for hanging out.
Thank you. Hey, can you